Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. I have a very important question for you. How many English words are you trying to learn right now? 100, 500, maybe 1,000? And let me ask you one more thing. After learning all these words, can you speak English confidently in real life? Can you start a simple conversation without stopping again and again? Here is the shocking truth. Learning more words is not always the answer. In fact, it might be the reason you feel stuck. Yes, you heard that right. The more words you try to memorize, the harder speaking becomes. Why does this happen? Because you are training your brain the wrong way. You are collecting words, but you are not learning how to use them. Today, I will show you a different path. A simple, powerful method that will help you speak English without memorizing thousands of words. Stay with me till the end, because this can completely change your English learning journey. Chapter 1. In this chapter, we are going to talk about the biggest mistake that almost every English learner makes. Most people think that learning more words will automatically make them fluent. They believe that if they memorize 500 words, 1,000 words, or even 5,000 words, speaking English will become easy. But the truth is very different. Let me tell you why. Learning words without using them is like collecting tools, but never building anything. You have all the tools in your toolbox, but you don't know how to create even a simple chair. Words are the same. Memorizing them does not mean you can speak with them. You might know the meaning, but when it comes to using them in a conversation, your mind goes blank. You freeze. You cannot form a sentence. You feel frustrated and think that maybe English is too hard for you. This is exactly what happens to millions of learners around the world. Let me give you an example. Imagine a learner named Alex. Alex studied English for 6 years. He joined classes, bought books, and watched videos. He knows thousands of words. He can read newspapers, understand movies, and write emails without mistakes. On paper, Alex seems very advanced. But when he meets a native speaker, he freezes. He wants to say something, but the words just disappear. He struggles to form a sentence. He repeats words in his mind but cannot speak smoothly. He feels embarrassed. Does this sound familiar? Maybe you are feeling the same way. You know words, but speaking is difficult. This is because learning words alone is not enough. You need to know how to use them. Why does this happen? Our brains work in a very interesting way. When we memorize words without using them, the brain does not fully remember them. It stores them temporarily, and soon they fade away. Have you ever memorized a list of 10 new words, only to forget most of them the next day? This is normal. Memorization is weak. Using words is strong. You need repetition, practice, and real-life usage. When you use words in sentences, speak with them, and hear them in context, your brain makes them automatic. They become part of you. You do not have to think twice before saying them. This is exactly what fluent speakers do. They do not memorize thousands of words at once. They practice a smaller set of words repeatedly until they become natural. Many learners also fall into another trap. They think that difficult words make them sound smart. They try to learn uncommon or advanced words to impress others. But in real conversations, this backfires. Native speakers often use simple words. They say good instead of excellent, big instead of enormous, and help instead of assist. Simple words are more powerful because everyone understands them. Using complex words unnecessarily can confuse listeners and make you feel less confident. The goal of English is communication, not showing off. You want to connect, not impress. Here is another important point. Speaking English is a skill, not a memory test. You cannot become fluent by just knowing words. Speaking requires practice, repetition, and confidence. You need to train your mouth, your ears, and your brain to work together. When you learn words and immediately practice them in sentences, your brain creates strong connections. You start thinking in English, not just translating from your native language. This is the key to real progress. The more you practice, the more automatic it becomes. Eventually, you will speak without hesitation. Now let's talk about the emotional side of this mistake. Feeling stuck, embarrassed, or frustrated is very common. Learners often compare themselves to others who speak fluently and feel they are failing. This creates fear, which stops them from practicing. But here's the truth. Everyone struggles at the beginning. Even native speakers made mistakes when they were learning their first words as children. The difference is that they practiced repeatedly and did not give up. You can do the same with English. The problem is not you. The problem is the method. You are learning the wrong way, and that is why you feel stuck. In this chapter, we also need to understand a simple fact. You do not need thousands of words to speak English. What you need is the right words and the ability to use them. Think of it like cooking. A chef does not need every ingredient in the world. A chef needs a few basic ingredients and knows how to combine them to make delicious dishes. English works the same way. You need a small set of words that you can use in many different ways. When you master these words, you can express almost anything. You do not need to memorize endless lists. You need practice and smart selection. By the end of this chapter, you should understand one thing clearly. Memorizing a large number of words without using them is the biggest mistake learners make. It creates frustration, fear, and confusion. Speaking fluently is not about knowing more words. It is about using words automatically, confidently, and naturally. The learners who struggle are not failing because they are not intelligent. They are failing because they are focusing on the wrong thing. Words alone will not give you fluency. Usage, repetition, and practice will. In the next chapter, we will break another common myth, that more words equal better English. We will show you the surprising truth about how native speakers communicate and how you can use fewer words to say more. By understanding this, you will start seeing a clear path to real English fluency. If you are ready to change the way you learn English and finally start speaking confidently, stay with me. Your journey has just begun. Chapter 2. In this chapter, we are going to challenge one of the biggest myths in English learning, that learning more words automatically makes you fluent. Most learners believe that the more words they know, the better they can speak. They think that knowing 1,000 words is good, 5,000 words is better and 10,000 words is perfect. But the truth is very different. Knowing many words does not guarantee that you can speak fluently or confidently. You might recognize thousands of words when reading, but when it comes to speaking, your mind goes blank. You cannot form sentences fast enough. You hesitate, you stumble, you struggle. This happens because knowing words is not the same as using words. Let's take an example. Imagine a learner named Sarah. She is from Brazil. Sarah studied English for 8 years. She knows thousands of words. She can read books, understand movies, and write emails perfectly. But when she meets someone who speaks English, she freezes. She wants to say something, but her mind becomes empty. She remembers words but cannot use them. She feels frustrated and ashamed. Sarah's story is not unique. Millions of learners around the world experience the same problem. They focus on collecting words, thinking it will make them fluent, but they forget that English is a language for communication, not for memorization. Now, here is a surprising truth that will shock many learners. Scientists have studied how native English speakers communicate in daily life. They found that native speakers actually use a limited number of words very frequently. Most daily conversations rely on only 1,000 to 1,500 words. Yes, that is correct. You do not need thousands of words to communicate. Even more interesting, the top 300 words cover about 65% of everything we say in normal conversations. Think about that. Just 300 words can allow you to understand and speak more than half of all English conversations. This is a powerful revelation because it means fluency does not come from learning 1,000 or 5,000 words. It comes from learning the right words and using them well. Many learners make another mistake at this point. They ignore simple words because they feel basic or easy. They want to sound smart, so they focus on difficult words like enormous or tremendous or complicated. But here is the problem. Native speakers actually prefer simple words. They say big instead of enormous, good instead of excellent, and bad instead of terrible. Simple words are powerful because they are flexible, clear, and easy to use in every situation. Complicated words may sound impressive on paper, but in real-life conversations, they often confuse both the speaker and the listener. Simple words connect people. Complex words create barriers. Let's look at a real example to understand this better. Imagine you want to say, I am experiencing tremendous difficulty comprehending this information. Most learners would memorize words like tremendous and comprehending to sound advanced. But think about what a native speaker would say. They would simply say, I don't understand this. Simple, clear, and easy to say. And guess what? It communicates the exact same idea. In fact, it is easier for the listener to understand. This is the power of simple words. Simple words give you speed, clarity, and confidence. They allow you to focus on speaking rather than searching for difficult words. Here is another important point. Fluency is not about memorizing words. Fluency is about automatic usage. Think about a baby learning to talk. A baby does not memorize 1,000 words. A baby learns 10 or 20 basic words and uses them over and over. Mama, dada, more, no. The baby repeats these words daily in different situations. Soon, the baby can combine words into small sentences, then longer sentences. The key is repetition and usage, not quantity. English learners can use the same principle. By focusing on a smaller set of high-frequency words, practicing them in different situations, and using them repeatedly, you can achieve fluency much faster than memorizing endless word lists. Now let's talk about another reason why learners fail. Most learners do not practice actively. They try to memorize words passively from books or apps. They think, if I just remember this word, I will be able to speak it later. But the brain does not work this way. If you do not use the words, they remain passive. You recognize them when reading or listening, but you cannot produce them in speech. This is called passive vocabulary. To speak fluently, you need active vocabulary. Active vocabulary comes only from practice. You need to say words, form sentences, make mistakes, and try again. The more you practice, the faster these words become automatic. Here is one more example to make this clear. Let's say you learn the word go. You can use it in hundreds of ways. Go home, go there, go now, go back, go out. If you practice these combinations daily, your brain will remember them automatically. You can speak without hesitation. You do not need 100 other similar words. One simple word, practiced correctly, can cover many situations. This is how native speakers communicate effortlessly. They do not think about which word is big or small. They use what works. You can do the same. By the end of this chapter, you should understand one key idea. Learning more words is not always better. The real secret is learning fewer words but using them effectively. Focus on high-frequency words. Practice them repeatedly and make them automatic. This is how you can communicate clearly, confidently, and naturally. Memorizing 1,000 words without practice will not help you speak. Using 300 simple, powerful words every day will. In the next chapter, we will explore how to transform your passive words into active words. We will show you a simple system that makes speaking automatic, fast, and natural. You will see how focusing on the right words can completely change your English. Chapter 3. In this chapter, we're going to talk about something that most English learners never realize: the difference between passive vocabulary and active vocabulary. You might think that just because you know a word, you can use it. But this is not true. Passive vocabulary is the set of words you can recognize when reading or listening, but cannot use easily when speaking. Active vocabulary is the set of words you can use automatically in real-life conversations. Most learners have thousands of passive words, but very few active words. This is why they struggle to speak even after years of study. Let me explain with an example. Imagine a learner named John. John studied English for 7 years. He knows more than 5,000 words. He can read English books and articles without dictionaries. He can understand movies without subtitles. On paper, John looks like an advanced learner. But when he tries to talk to a native speaker, he freezes. He wants to say, "I am excited about this project," but instead he says, I, uh, feel happy. This project, good. John's passive vocabulary is huge, but his active vocabulary is very small. He knows the words, but he cannot use them automatically. Does this sound familiar? Maybe you have experienced the same situation. You know words, but speaking fluently is still difficult. Now here is an important point. Your brain works differently for passive and active vocabulary. Passive words are stored lightly. You can recognize them, but recalling them takes time. Active words are stored strongly. You can recall them instantly. When you speak, your brain needs fast recall. That is why active vocabulary is more important than passive vocabulary. You need words that you can use without thinking. Fluency comes from having more active words, not more passive words. So how do you make passive words active? The answer is simple. Practice and repetition. You need to take words you already know and use them every day in sentences. You need to speak, write, and think in English with those words. The more you use a word, the stronger it becomes in your active vocabulary. Let's go back to John's example. When John realized his problem, he started practicing 300 high-frequency words. He made sentences with each word every day. He repeated them aloud, wrote them down, and used them in conversations. Slowly, his active vocabulary grew. After a month, John could speak sentences without hesitation. His passive words became active because he practiced using them. Here is another important concept. Usage beats memorization every time. Memorizing words from books or apps is passive. Your brain sees the word, learns its meaning, but does not connect it with real-life speaking. Using the word in context creates connections in your brain. These connections make recall automatic. This is why learning fewer words and using them is much more effective than memorizing thousands of words. Quality always beats quantity. Let's also talk about flexibility. Active vocabulary allows you to combine words in many ways. For example, take the word get. Most learners know get as a simple word, but they do not practice it. In real life, get can be used in hundreds of ways. Get up, get down, get out, get in, get ready, get better, get lost. By practicing these combinations, you can express many ideas with just one word. This is the power of active vocabulary. You do not need 1,000 different verbs if you can use one verb in many ways. This is exactly what native speakers do. Now let's discuss confidence. One reason learners hesitate to speak is fear. They worry they will forget words or make mistakes. This fear comes from having a weak active vocabulary. When your active vocabulary is small, you cannot speak automatically. But when you practice and strengthen your active words, speaking becomes natural. You know you have the words you need, so you speak confidently. Mistakes become less frightening because your foundation is strong. You no longer panic in conversations. Another key point is that active vocabulary helps you think in English. When your active words are automatic, you stop translating from your native language. You start forming sentences in English directly. This is a huge breakthrough for fluency. Most learners spend years translating in their minds, which slows them down. By focusing on active vocabulary, you bypass translation and speak faster, more naturally, and with confidence. Here is a simple exercise to convert passive words into active words. First, choose 5 to 10 high-frequency words you already know. Second, make 5 sentences with each word. Third, say these sentences aloud multiple times. Fourth, try to use these sentences in conversations or writing. Repeat daily. In just a few weeks, you will notice that these words start coming naturally. You do not have to think. They become automatic. This method works much better than memorizing long word lists or trying to learn difficult words all at once. By the end of this chapter, you should understand one thing clearly. Knowing words is not enough. Using words is everything. Your fluency depends on how many words you can actively use, not how many words you can recognize. Practice, repetition, and daily usage are the keys to moving words from passive to active. When you focus on this, speaking English becomes easy, natural, and confident. In the next chapter, we will discuss a simple method to choose the right words and practice them daily. We will show how focusing on a small set of high-frequency words can help you speak fluently in real conversations. This is where the real transformation begins. Chapter 4. In this chapter, we are going to talk about the most important step in your English journey: choosing the right words and practicing them in a simple, effective way. By now, you know that memorizing thousands of words does not help you speak. You also know that active vocabulary is far more important than passive vocabulary. But the question is, how do you start? How do you decide which words to focus on and how to practice them so they become automatic? This chapter will give you a clear, step-by-step method that you can follow every day. The first step is to stop trying to learn too many words at once. I know this is hard to accept because we have been told for years that more words equal better English. But the truth is the opposite. When you try to learn 100 or 200 new words each week, your brain gets overwhelmed. Most of these words will remain passive. You will forget them quickly. Instead, focus on a smaller set of high-frequency words. These are the words that native speakers use in everyday conversations. Words like go, come, say, get, big, small, good, bad, and many others. These words are simple, but they are powerful because they can be combined in countless ways. Once you have chosen your words, the second step is to practice using them in sentences. This is where most learners fail. They learn the meaning of a word, but they never use it. To make a word active, you need to speak it, write it, and think with it. For example, if your word is go, do not just memorize it. Make 10 sentences with it. I go to school, go inside, I want to go now, he will go later. Say these sentences out loud multiple times. Write them down. Repeat them until they become automatic. This process may seem simple, but it works better than memorizing 100 new words in a week. The third step is to combine words in different ways to create new sentences. English is very flexible. One word can be used in many situations. For example, the word get can be used in dozens of ways. Get up, get down, get ready, get started, get better, get lost. By practicing these combinations, You are training your brain to use words creatively. You are building your active vocabulary in a way that allows you to express many ideas with just a few words. This is how native speakers communicate naturally. They do not try to use difficult words. They use what works. The fourth step is daily speaking practice. You can read sentences aloud, talk to yourself in English, or practice with a partner. The key is consistency. Even 15 to 20 minutes of focused practice every day will make a huge difference. The goal is to make words automatic. You want your brain to produce sentences without hesitation. The more you speak, the faster your active vocabulary grows. You will notice that words you practiced suddenly come naturally in conversations. You do not have to think about them. They become part of you. The fifth step is mindset. Many learners hesitate to use simple words because they think they sound basic or childish. But here is the truth. Simple words are the secret to fluency. Native speakers use simple words because they are clear and flexible. Using simple words allows you to focus on communication, not memorization. Mistakes do not matter because your goal is connection, not perfection. The more you use words confidently, the more fluent you become. Simple is powerful. Simple is effective. Simple builds confidence. Let's also talk about motivation. One of the best ways to stay motivated is to see progress every day. Start with 300 high-frequency words. Practice 5 to 10 words daily. Make sentences, speak aloud, write, and repeat. At the end of 1 week, you will notice that some words feel automatic. At the end of 2 weeks, you will see that you can form sentences without hesitation. By the end of 1 month, your brain will produce words automatically in conversations. You will feel confident, natural, and fluent. This visible progress is the motivation you need to continue. Another tip is to use real-life situations. Try to use your practiced words in daily life. For example, when you are at home, narrate what you are doing. I am cooking. I am cleaning. I am going outside. When you speak to friends or colleagues, try to use your practiced sentences. This real-life usage makes words active faster. It also trains you to think in English instead of translating from your native language. Thinking in English is the real secret to fluency. Finally, remember that repetition is everything. The same words need to be used multiple times in different contexts. Do not rush to learn new words until your current words are automatic. It is better to master 300 words than partially know 1,000. Your brain needs strong connections to produce sentences naturally. Repetition, practice, and patience are the keys. This is the method that works. By the end of this chapter, you should understand that fluency does not come from memorizing long word lists. It comes from choosing the right words, practicing them daily, speaking them aloud, and combining them creatively. You do not need to know every word in the dictionary. You need words that work and the ability to use them automatically. When you follow this method consistently, speaking English becomes easy, natural, and confident. In the next chapter, we will focus on the mindset and confidence needed to speak English without hesitation. We will explore why simple words can make you sound natural, confident, and fluent in real-life conversations. This mindset shift is crucial for your English journey. Chapter 5. In this chapter, we are going to focus on one of the most important factors in learning English: confidence. Many learners struggle to speak not because they lack knowledge, but because they lack confidence. They hesitate, worry about mistakes, and fear embarrassment. This fear is natural, but it can stop you from using the words you already know. The good news is that confidence can be built. And the key to building confidence in English is simple: practice, repetition, and the smart use of words you already know. Let's start with an example. Imagine a learner named Emma. Emma studied English for 10 years. She knows thousands of words. She can read newspapers and watch movies with ease. But when it comes to speaking, she freezes. She wants to say, "I am very happy with this result." But instead, she struggles and says, "I, uh, feel, uh, good about this result." Emma's confidence is low because she focuses too much on perfection and difficult words. She fears making mistakes. This is very common among learners. The more you worry about using the perfect word, the harder it is to speak. Here's the truth: simple words build confidence. You do not need difficult words to express yourself. Using simple, high-frequency words allows you to communicate naturally and clearly. For example, instead of saying, "I am ecstatic about this achievement," you can simply say, "I am very happy about this." The meaning is the same, but the sentence is easier to say, easier to remember, and much faster. When you use simple words correctly, you feel in control. You know exactly what to say. This control builds confidence. Confidence makes you speak more, and speaking more improves fluency. Another important point is that confidence comes from repetition. Words become automatic through repeated usage. The more you speak the same words in different situations, the more natural they become. Your brain stops hesitating. Your mouth learns to produce sentences without thinking. Think about a child learning to talk. A baby does not memorize dictionaries. A baby repeats simple words like mama, dada, more, and no. Slowly, the baby combines these words into sentences. The process is simple. Repetition builds confidence. English learners can follow the same principle. Practice your high-frequency words repeatedly, and speaking will become automatic. Let's also talk about mistakes. Many learners fear mistakes because they want to sound perfect. But mistakes are a natural part of learning. In fact, mistakes are opportunities to improve. When you use simple words, you reduce the chance of mistakes and increase the chance of successful communication. Even if you make a mistake, people still understand you. Communication is about conveying meaning, not perfection. By focusing on simple words and practicing them often, your mistakes become smaller and your confidence grows. Here's another tip. Start small and celebrate progress. Confidence is built step by step. Begin with a few high-frequency words and use them in sentences. Speak to yourself, write short paragraphs, or talk to friends. Each time you succeed in expressing an idea clearly, You build confidence. This positive reinforcement motivates you to continue. Over time, your confidence grows naturally. You no longer fear speaking. You speak because you know you can express yourself clearly, even with simple words. Real-life practice is also essential. Use your words in daily conversations. Narrate your actions in English. I am making tea. I am going outside. I will call my friend. Speak with colleagues, friends, or online partners. The more you use words in context, the stronger your active vocabulary becomes. Your brain learns to recall words automatically, and your confidence skyrockets. Small, consistent practice is more effective than cramming complicated words for hours. Another reason simple words build confidence is that they allow you to think in English. When you rely on difficult words or translate from your native language, your brain slows down. You hesitate. You search for words. You lose confidence. But when you practice high-frequency words, your brain starts thinking in English. Sentences come naturally. You speak faster. You sound fluent. Thinking in English is the ultimate shortcut to confidence and fluency. Let's revisit Emma's story. After struggling for years, she decided to focus only on 300 high-frequency words. She made sentences daily, spoke aloud, and practiced in conversations. Within a few weeks, she noticed a huge difference. She no longer hesitated. She could express ideas clearly. Her confidence grew. She realized that fluency is not about knowing thousands of words. It is about using a small set of words correctly and confidently. Simple words became her bridge to real conversations. By the end of this chapter, you should understand this clearly. Confidence is a skill, just like vocabulary. You build it by using words, practicing them repeatedly, and speaking without fear. Simple words are your secret weapon. They allow you to communicate effectively, reduce mistakes, and make your brain automatic. When you have confidence, speaking becomes easy, natural, and enjoyable. In the next chapter, we will bring everything together into a practical 30-day action plan. You will see exactly what to do every day to strengthen your active vocabulary, build confidence, and speak English fluently. By following this plan, your English will transform completely, and speaking will no longer be a struggle. Chapter 6. In this chapter, we are going to bring everything together into a practical step-by-step action plan. By now, you understand why memorizing thousands of words does not help, why active vocabulary is more important than passive vocabulary, and why confidence comes from practice and repetition. The question now is simple. How do you put all this into action? How do you go from knowing words to speaking fluently, naturally, and confidently? This chapter will give you a clear roadmap that you can follow every day starting today. The first step is to stop learning new words for now. I know this may feel strange because we have been told for years that learning new words is the key to progress. But remember, learning too many words without using them creates frustration and confusion. Instead, focus on the words you already know and want to use. These are your high-frequency words, the building blocks of English. You can start with 300 basic words, including 100 nouns, 100 verbs, and 100 adjectives or other important words. These words will cover most of your daily conversations. The goal is to make these words automatic. The second step is daily practice. Take 5 to 10 words each day from your list and make sentences with each word. Say these sentences aloud. Write them down. Use them in short dialogues with yourself or with others. Repetition is crucial here. Your brain needs multiple exposures to make words active. Just reading a word or memorizing it once is not enough. You need to speak, write, and think with the word. Over time, these words will become automatic. You will no longer have to think hard to recall them. They will come to you naturally when speaking. The third step is combining words creatively. English is a language of patterns, not isolated words. One word can be used in many different ways. For example, take the verb get. You can say, get up, get ready, get in, get out, get better, get lost. By practicing different combinations, you can express hundreds of ideas with just one word. This is how native speakers communicate effortlessly. They do not try to sound smart. They use words in flexible ways. Your goal is to train your brain to combine words automatically to express new ideas. The fourth step is real-life usage. Start using your practiced words in daily life. Narrate your actions in English. I am cooking. I am cleaning. I am going outside. Talk to friends or colleagues using the words you practiced. Even if your sentences are simple, they will be understood. Remember, communication is about clarity, not complexity. The more you use words in context, the faster your active vocabulary grows. Speaking in real situations also boosts confidence because you start seeing that you can express yourself clearly without relying on complex words. The fifth step is mindset. Confidence is built when you trust the words you know. Stop worrying about mistakes or sounding simple. Using simple words is not a weakness. It is a strength. Simple words are clear, flexible, and effective. They allow you to focus on expressing your ideas rather than searching for complicated words. Mistakes are part of the process, and every mistake is an opportunity to learn. By practicing simple words consistently, you will notice your confidence growing day by day. Now, let's put all these steps together into a 30-day challenge. For the next 30 days, do not learn new words. Focus only on your chosen 300 high-frequency words. Each day, pick 5 to 10 words and make 10 sentences with each word. Say them aloud, write them down, and try to use them in conversations. Repeat this daily. By the end of 1 week, some words will feel automatic. By the end of 2 weeks, you will notice that sentences come more naturally. By the end of 1 month, speaking will feel much easier, faster, and more confident. This is the power of focused practice. Let's revisit an example from earlier. Remember Emma, who struggled for years despite knowing thousands of words? She started this method and practiced her 300 words daily. At first, she felt nervous, but she continued practicing. After 2 weeks, she could form sentences without hesitation. After 1 month, she was speaking confidently with friends, expressing her thoughts clearly, and even enjoying conversations in English. Emma's story is proof that this method works. You do not need dictionaries, apps, or complicated word lists. You only need the right words, repeated practice, and consistent usage. Finally, remember this important truth. Fluency is not about knowing everything. Fluency is about knowing enough and using it effectively. 300 words are enough to speak more than half of daily conversations. By practicing these words every day, combining them creatively, and using them in real-life situations, you will achieve fluency faster than you ever imagined. Confidence, clarity, and speed come naturally when you focus on usage instead of memorization. Now it is your turn. Start today. Choose your 300 words. Make sentences. Speak them aloud. Practice every day. Repeat. Use them in conversations. Make them automatic. Your journey to fluent, confident English begins now. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Start small. Practice consistently, and you will see amazing results. And here is your call to action. If you found this method helpful, subscribe to the channel for more practical English learning tips. Like this video if it gave you a clear plan to speak English fluently. Comment below and tell me, are you ready to stop memorizing 1,000 words and start speaking with just 300 powerful words? Share this video with friends who are struggling with English. Your journey starts now. Simple words, daily practice, and confidence will change your English forever.